Hi, everyone. It's Professor Whitty. I'm here with a colleague and a friend, Professor Chris Conforti. Professor Conforti generously offered, or I coerced her a little bit, into giving up a little bit of her free time to help us do this video. And I think it's important at the beginning to establish what the goal of the video is. What we're trying to do here, I've already put out explanations of what the elements of narration and the elements of writing are. They're on the website. You should certainly read that information before you attempt to read the story, before you attempt to answer the quiz. And this is really just an opportunity for us to kind of do this for you, to model the behavior so that you get some idea of what it is that I'm shooting for in our discussion about Edgar Allan Poe's story, The Telltale Heart. So before we jump in, I've got a little bit of biographical information on the website, Chris. But I was just curious to know what attracts you personally about reading Poe.
Well, Poe and I have had a long history together because I attended PS 46, which was known as the Edgar Allan Poe School, located in the Bronx on 196th Street, as our old Bronx, I'd say 196th Street, and Valentine Avenue. And it's very close to the Poe Cottage off of the Grand Concourse, as we call the Conch, and Kingsbridge Avenue. And I'd suggest visiting. It's if you're a Poe fan. Of course, I was very intrigued. So I had this long interest in Poe, and for different reasons when I was younger, but as I started to get older, I appreciated, as opposed to the horror tales, which I was very attracted to, I appreciated his real skillful literature and the layers and layers of depth, and also the components of his horror romantic era period in contrast to the Enlightenment. So this is what I'm drawn to, and the horror too. I
Mhm.
am a horror fan.
And I think I come to it much the same way, Chris. I was exposed to Poe in the early grades in grammar school. They still find some time for those old white men from years ago. I know it's not that politically correct anymore in English lit classes, but certainly back then we got our share of those old white um, writers, and he was certainly one of the better ones. Of course, I'm a horror film buff, and so the themes and the stories are interesting and fun for someone young. But you made a point that I totally agree with. I think it was fun as a kid, but I do think that as you get older, you really learn to have much more of an appreciation for his skill in
Yes.
plotting, his command of the language. In many ways, he was very much a Shakespeare of his time.
Yes.
Really,
Yes.
really good command of the English language, and a very good sense of how to tell a story. Now, we should tell the listeners. I mean, it's probably mentioned somewhere in the biography that's provided. Poe is a poet. And when you read Poe, I've always felt, I don't know how you feel, Chris, I've always felt that it's more fun to hear it read. I like reading it, but I always find it very entertaining to hear it read because he was a poet. And I believe that when he wrote, he was very sensitive to how this would work um, auditorily. So there's a lot of signposts in his writing about where you should stop and where you should start, and he throws a lot of exclamation points, and there's a lot of
Dashes.
yes, a lot of breaks, and just so that people who read it get very obvious signs as to where the breaks should be. And
Yes.
as we do study this semester in my course, and hopefully in yours as well, Professor Conforti also teaches the junior and the freshman seminar. The meaning of a sentence can be changed dramatically simply by where the emphasis is placed. So Poe is very good at telling you, giving it to you very visually in the writing, um, where he wants those pauses to be. And they're not always where the comma is or the semicolons would be. If he wants you to know where it should be, he'll let you know very, very creatively.
Yeah.
So, and Chris volunteered to help me with this project because we both really enjoy Edgar Allan Poe. Chris starts off one of her junior seminar courses with a different story, which is why I thought of bringing you in as somebody who could talk about this firsthand as well, because of our shared love for Edgar Allan Poe and the fact that we're both using Poe to demonstrate, to give our students some inroads into how to analyze fiction. So I already gave my class a list of the elements of narration and the elements of writing. And I guess we'll probably, I guess, best be served by going directly into those.